Coach, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you know about Middle Tennessee and what you expect out of that offense.
You know, I have a history at Middle Tennessee. Of course, you guys would know that. They're a well-coached program. They're well-respected, and they're led by Coach Rick Stockstone. He's probably one of the most tenured coaches in the college profession at one university. I think he's been there like 16 years. And he's a blue-collar guy. He's a guy that likes to win with an outstanding defense, a guy that likes to play with an up-tempo offense to be really sound in the kicking game. And, it all starts with his leadership.
How difficult has it been to prepare for them kind of on the short notice with the change from Memphis to Middle Tennessee?
It's not your typical week. Of course, you can't put in and install as much defense as you would like. But the benefit for us is the same amount of time for them as well. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to blocking and tackling and the guys who can execute the best. And that's what we try to overemphasize to our guys, of playing with perfect effort, playing selfless, and, try to be extraordinary at doing the ordinary things. And those guys who can consistently do those things on a day-to-day basis throughout a ball game, throughout life, are the ones who are going to be more successful.
How would you say your defense played overall this past week versus SFA?
Oh, I thought we got a B. We did some positive things. The biggest thing we did is we handled adversity well. We played a solid first half until the last series of the second quarter, where we gave up a score in about 3 plays, 70, 80 yards, and that was a major disappointment. Probably the biggest, proudest moment is we came out the second half with like 2 or 3 and outs, and we realized, and our kids realized, we were not going to, play at a lower level. We were going to continue to strive and set a standard here, perfection, and trying to play for 64 minutes and then see what the score says. So obviously we felt better about that throughout the ball game from the results.
Okay, Greg, you're up.
Coach, is there anything particular about Middle Tennessee that is hard to prepare for, that you wish you had more time, like anything they do that's kind of unique compared to other offenses?
It goes again with the offensive coordinator, Tony Franklin. He's one of the best in the business. He's had actually a quarterback that's been selected first in the NFL draft. And, you don't go against many coordinators that can say that. And, he played in his offense. Coach Franklin's a guy that is going to challenge you with multiple formations, several RPOs. He's going to make you defend every inch of the field. And, he may not have had the results that he would like or that he's had in previous years, but from a standpoint of challenging you and your players to get aligned properly and execute their assignment, is still there.
You guys losing the game against Memphis, they were probably going to be the toughest opponent you'd face this year, or at least up there. Do you feel like you miss out on something not having that test, or how do you view that dynamic?
Well, I think Middle Tennessee will be the toughest team that we played thus far this year. And, until you actually play an opponent, you don't really know what things they bring to the table. With this season being the way it is, with the COVID situation going on, some guys are going to be without their key players some weeks, and sometimes those guys make the difference. We try to take a lot of responsibility here within our program with Coach Traylor, and trying to keep guys to stay safe in this process. And fortunate for us, knock on wood, we hadn't had any key guys at this point to have to miss a ball game. But Middle Tennessee is by far the most talented team that we'll play thus far in this season.
I want to ask you about Tariq Wallin. He's been kind of a standout in the defensive backfield there. What have you made of his play so far this year?
Tariq is a guy who's actually this would be his actual third start as a defensive back, as a corner. And, Tariq wants to be good. He was so disappointed in himself after the first time out that he put in a lot of extra work, and we saw that performance improve a lot from week 1 to week 2. And he's a guy that, played injured throughout the ball game and stayed in and continues to do so. But we feel good about him. We feel like he's improving. Eventually, he will be hopefully one of the guys that's a top corner in his conference.
What are some of the things that were missing that first week that you guys were able to work on heading into the second game?
Well, it starts back with fundamentals. It starts with tackling. We didn't tackle as well at all positions. Playing the ball at the highest point, the deep ball situation, we didn't play as well. We felt like we were much better last week. And, those are the two things that stand out. All in all, it's about execution. It's about 11 guys being on the same page, doing their job and playing for each other, playing for their brother. And we felt like we played more unity football.
Tariq has really brought some physicality in the games that we've seen, making some pretty big hits. Did you expect that from a converted receiver?
Well, one thing we're going to expect from all our guys, if you play on the defense side of the ball, we cannot protect you. And that means you will be exposed at some point. You have to show courage. You have to show fundamentals. You have to show a skill set that I will be violent, that I will run through a ball carrier, and I do whatever it takes to get the guy on the ground. And he's improved somewhat from week 1 to week 2. So, yes, I'm happy with where he's at. And, some of it's a culture or mindset also. And Coach Graham has done a great job of emphasizing to those guys that we have to be physical. It's only one Deion Sanders. So, if you're on this defensive side of the ball, we expect you to play with a certain chip on your shoulder.
Is there a reason we almost never see cornerbacks who are that tall?
Yeah, because offensive coaches are the head coach, and they normally keep those guys on the offensive side. What happened for us, or fortunate for us, he doesn't catch as well as some of the other receivers. And I think with the depletion of some injuries a year ago and him not being a great receiver, it gave us an opportunity to take a guy with his skill set, his height, and those things, and allow him a chance to be on our defense.
And lastly on him, do you have any other targets that you want him to improve or areas of the game that he's still going to work on going forward?
His technique. We really want to improve on our press man technique. We still feel like it's a lot of room to improve on our ball skills and playing the ball in the air. And last but not least, we still would like to see him become a better tackler, a guy that makes more of an impact when he hits people and, put a little doubt in some people's mind about, maybe I'm the wrong guy that you want to chime on display.
Hey, JJ, back to you.
Coach, along the lines of the defensive backfield, how would you say you guys did in pass coverage this past week?
I think we were better. I thought we were much better. Pass rush is such a big part of pass coverage, and all in all, I think we gave up four explosive passes, maybe 5. So that was an improvement for us. Of course, you like to minimize those each week, and you say, well, what's the goal? What's the number? Well, it depends on how many passing attempts that people have and what coverage we're playing and what's the situation. But I thought those guys improved a lot. Probably the most disappointing completion was right before the half, the deep ball down the middle of the field. But some of that was me as well. So I probably should have been in a different coverage to help those guys in that situation. So we all take ownership of things that happen, good or bad, in the run and in the passing game. But I think we got better. I really do. I thought our guys, if you looked at our third down statistic, I think they were like 2 of 16 or 2 of 15. So, ultimately we're forcing punts and getting off the field.
How would you grade out your safeties play these first 2 weeks?
When you say safeties, the first person comes to my mind is Rashad Wisdom. He had a solid game. Game 1, he had a really good game. Game 2, he was consistent. He was solid. We probably didn't have as many wow factor plays, but I think he led us in tackles. I know he does a good job in coverage. So I'm really happy with the way he's playing. You know, this is his first year actually playing safety. And I think Coach Lepton has done a great job with him. Our other safety, Savion, you know, he missed majority of camp, but we feel like he's improving. He's improving day in and day out. And, you know, once again, Coach Lep's done a great job with him, continuing to teach him the defense. And we feel like he's probably one of our better cover safeties. So all in all, I think we've established some depth. Antonio Parks played a lot at safety, and he's on one of our dime packages. And we're just trying to get Kalechi to get on the same page so we can at least try to be 2 deep. But all in all, I think those guys have done well. They communicated well. They run the show on the back end, and they made plays on the ball.
Are you happy with the pressure you've been able to put on the quarterback from the defensive line standpoint, from the front guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, you know, looking at the experienced group and maybe one of the most talented positions on our defense, it starts up front with Jalen Haynes, better known as Country. And, you know, with the addition of a Charles Wiley as a pass rusher and, you know, DQ, it gives us a little bit more flexibility to bring the potential of 3, 4, and 5. You know, Country's done a good job of getting sacks on a 3-man rush from time to time. So I'm really happy with what Coach Wright's doing with our front, and I just think they'll continue to get better.
Hey, Greg.
Coach, I wanted to ask about your son, Ty, playing for Middle Tennessee. What is that dynamic like as you get ready for this game this week?
You know, it's been good. It's been really good. It's a surprise for us because they were not on the schedule. We always had a vision of someday playing together on the same team, father and son. But, you know, football is probably one of the greatest teachers out there about life, about the unexpected, the ups and downs, and the adversity that takes place. And, you know, it just wasn't in God's plans for that to take place. But I'm excited for him that he's able to go out there and compete. And, of course, I'm pulling for the Blue Raiders. But all in all, it ought to be a competitive, it ought to be a nice setting where, you know, hopefully our guys will play to the standard and expectation that we're setting here. And maybe he can look and, you know, be proud of the product that we're putting on the field.
Do you get to spend some time with him after the game or during this week, or is it just kind of a very tight schedule coming and going?
You know, our schedule hadn't changed as much. This is a shorter week in preparation than it normally is for a game on Saturday. But we visited about the same. And after the ball game, I don't know. It depends on who wins and loses. You know, a lot of times I don't want to be around people when things don't go in my favor. So hopefully I'm going to be a guy that has a big smile on my face and happy at the end of the day. And, you know, that we can shake hands and I can tell them that I'm still proud of him being my son.
Hey, Joe.
That's actually what I was about to ask. This is Joe with the Daily News Journal in Murfreesboro. I talked to Ty yesterday about you guys being able to play each other. I mean, is there going to be any sort of smack talk or anything? He said he's really looking forward to the experience.
Well, you know, I like to speak with my actions, you know, and I'll let our defensive kids speak for me and the way we perform, and hopefully that's to my liking and Coach Trader's liking as well. And, you know, the thing about being selfless, it's not about he or I. It's about UTSA. It's about the product that Coach Traylor is trying to get us out there to put on display. And hopefully our guys play that standard. And, you know, at the end of the day, when Aaron's out of the ball and it's no longer football, he's still going to be my son. And I'm going to still be his dad, and I'm going to love him regardless of the outcome of the school board.